apologize for starting a little bit late, but with that, I'd like to call this meeting of the State Planning Commission to order. Working with the Open Public Meetings Act statement, would you like to do with me? This meeting is held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. We have made all the requisite notifications to the papers of record and everyone else who needs to know that this meeting is occurring. We have a roll call, please.
John Atkinson.
Here.
Roberta Lynch for Secretary of State. Kim Zagano.
David Vitale for Lieutenant Governor.
Richard Hammer.
Any source for acting commissioner?
Chief Boucher.
Here.
Bob Martin.
Rick Brown for Commissioner Martin.
Ray Martinez.
Here.
Charles McKenna.
Here.
Thomas McNowitz.
Here.
Chuck Richmond.
Don Plumby for Commissioner Richmond.
Ed McKenna.
Okay, with that, would you please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I finally broke down and wrote glasses. After 15 years, I just can't do it anymore. Yeah. First item of business is the approval of the minutes of January 20, 2016. Do I have a motion to that effect to approve the minutes? So a motion and a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? The minutes are approved. Chairman's comments, we'll dispense with that and move right to Jerry and the Director's report.
Okay, thank you. Since the last State Planning Commission meeting, the Office for Planning Advocacy has continued to work on a number of ongoing projects and is undertaking several new ones also. The Corporate Campus Project continues to be one of OPA's primary initiatives. Meetings have been scheduled with the mayors of Park Ridge, Little Ferry, and Montvale to discuss sites within their municipalities. While Park Ridge and Little Ferry are new to the Corporate Campus Initiative, OPA has been working with Montvale for over a year on former Mercedes and A&P headquarters sites. There has been, however, a change in the governing body of Montvale as of the first of the year that necessitates a revisiting to determine the new administration vision for the properties and what changes they are now willing to implement to help attract new tenants and development to the sites. OPA is also actively pursuing the town of South Plainfield to convene a follow-up meeting about the vacant Motorola site. I do want to point out that a number of meetings have been scheduled by OPA only to have been postponed for a variety of reasons. The interagency work group last met on December 4th. The morning session focused on 3 brownfield sites within the Great Falls Brownfield Development Area in Patterson, New Jersey, and the afternoon session focused on combined sewer outflow communities that are currently in planning for systems separation. The 3 Patterson BDA projects that were presented in the morning session included the city's historic raceway system, the Allied Textile Printers Company site, and Hinchcliffe Stadium. OPA also recently met with representatives from the EPA to plan the coming year's interagency work group meetings. It was decided that the next meeting should be scheduled for late spring, with an additional 1 or 2 proposed for the remainder of the year. OPA also continues to participate in the Fort Hancock Redevelopment Task Force. At the most recent meeting held February 5th, I offered the team a future IAWG meeting as a means of helping to move the initiative along. The task force was very receptive and asked if Fort Hancock could be considered for the spring meeting. OPA has also facilitated the first Brownfields Redevelopment Interagency Team, or BRIT, meeting of the year on January 21st. The BRIT reviewed 2 projects. The City of Hoboken and Bijou Properties presented the Monroe Center Redevelopment Project, and the City of Perth Amboy and Viridian Partners presented the Gateway Redevelopment Project that included Field Station Dinosaurs Park, the Six Pack Academy, and Makerhood. The Six Pack Academy sounds like my son's college.
Is it being sponsored by Lakewood?
Yeah, more to come on that, but it is development, so we can't look down on it. OPA recently met with representatives from Garfield about the redevelopment of the former Kalama chemical site. The city engineer was also at the meeting and provided OPA with a copy of the redevelopment plan for the site. The property is located on River Road, directly overlooking the Passaic River. The site may be a candidate for a future GRIT or IWG meeting in the near future. A follow-up meeting is tentatively scheduled for February 26th to discuss concept plans for the site. OPA continues to work with representatives of both PADCOM, Phillipsburg, and Opus Industries on the redevelopment of the Ingersoll Rand site. Both towns have signed agreements with Opus, and OPA is currently assisting with expediting permits from both DOT and DEP. Opus recently received a letter from DOT which gives their concept approval for the signaled dual left turn lane off Route 22 into the property. This is excellent news for the redevelopment, since this access is one of the key features that will make the project viable and allow Opus to compete with projects in Pennsylvania. On a somewhat sad note, Alan Miller, who many of you have worked with over the years, has left OPA to go to DEP. While this is a huge loss for OPA and we are sorry to see him go, we are very happy for this great opportunity for Alan and find some solace in the fact that we may still have occasion to work with him in his new role. In closing, I would like to once again thank the members of the Commission, the administration, and state agencies for all of the support and assistance they provided to OPA on our various initiatives. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for sharing that comprehensive report and for sharing all the things that are going on here. So with that, we'll get to the one item of new business, and that's resolution number 2016-01, approving the petition for plan endorsement submitted by Lakewood Township, Ocean County, and designating centers. And we'll start with Barry and a presentation on that petition.
Mr. Chairman, before Barry starts up, I'm going to be recusing myself from this particular matter.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Hi, so before we go to the resolution, I'm just going to talk about the report that you received, the comments that you received, and just give you a quick overview of the plan endorsement process today in Lakewood. In case you don't know, Lakewood is in Ocean County, in the northern part of the county. You can see off to the left, that's Lakewood. And then in a little more detail, there's Lakewood to the right. There's a lot of building with parks, and I'll go into more detail. But what there also is are a lot of people. This is in the downtown, and it's a town of almost 25 square miles. And population at the last census was over 92,000 people. And one of the things that we'll be talking about are their projected population growth. But 92,000 people makes it I want to say the 8th largest municipality in the state. I could be wrong about that. I apologize for not knowing exactly. One of the other important demographic notes here are the average family size. It's 4.4 or almost 4.5 people per family, which is quite large. The population density is over 3,700 people per square mile, also making it one of the more larger, one of the more dense population clusters in the state. And then going further down in the stats, when you take a look at the median household income and compare it to the rest of the county and to the rest of the state, 41,000 or 41.5 for the median household income in Lakewood versus the county's 61,000. Disparity there. And then when you take a look at per capita income, big disparity between Lakewood versus the county versus the state. And then persons living below the poverty level is also very significant in Lakewood. Over 26% in Lakewood versus 10% in the county. And the unemployment rate in Lakewood is pretty similar to the rest of the state. and that's also because there is industry in Lakewood, which is one of the interesting things about Lakewood. There are industries that are actively and growing. What I mentioned before about the population, you can take a look. It's like that geometry arrow where everything keeps going up, 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 and up. So if you take a look, essentially over every 10 years, the population is kind of doubled in size. They've grown by 50% from the previous population. So it went from, or almost 50%, I should say. It went from 45 to 60, and then from 60 to 90. And Lakewood's in the projections for the future are Lakewoods, that they expect the population to continually grow like this. The NJTPA in their most recent reports don't project the population growing as quickly as this, but these are Lakewood's projections in their that came out of their smart growth plan.
It's the 7th most populous.
7. Sorry. I know it's high. Let me talk a little bit about this smart growth plan. Because of the continued population growth, Lakewood realized that a lot of good planning needed to occur in order to help deal with the population growth and deal with both to deal with population growth and to deal with all the infrastructure that would be needed in order to accommodate. So they came to us to come to the plan endorsement process. They started in 2005. It's been a long road, and along the way that they conducted visioning sessions in 2008, and these were very large visiting sessions where you have a town of 90,000 people, and everyone has an opinion. And people came out en masse. Some of them had to be rescheduled from one place to a larger place to a larger place. And so when they finished the smart growth plan, that they brought it back. They brought it back to us so that we as state agencies could take a look at it and see how it was interacting with the state development plan. And there were comments that were made, some things that they had to address. And they revised the smart growth plan in 2013. They've included it as an element within the master plan. And then they've also been working with DEP and the county on the wastewater quality management plan, which has been adopted by DEP in 2015. So within their plan, they proposed a number of they proposed a regional center as well as a number of different cores and nodes where where in order to protect the rest of the municipality, they want to encourage growth within these cores and nodes, which is the way the state development and redevelopment plan tries to encourage that. Let's pick the places where you want growth, and let's look at the places where you want to preserve and or not encourage growth. And as part of the proposal, you can see where the rest of Lakewood is either proposed for environmentally sensitive with the greenish area, and or the rest of to suburban. You can compare it to what it is now on the left versus to what the proposal is on the right. So you can see much more environmentally sensitive and/or designating through the cores and nodes in the regional center where population, or not the population, where growth should be occurring. Sorry. So how does this all relate to the state plan? So going through one by the different goals, I'll just go through here. So the revitalization of goal 1 is definitely something that is found in Lakewood, where through infill redevelopment, new housing, new industrial, new parks and recreation, it's all happening there. They declared 2 areas in need of redevelopment, and there are different trade zones. There's a foreign trade zone as well as an urban enterprise zone. So it's a town that is not just developing on vacant land, it's also redeveloping itself on already existing development. But at the same time, one of the reasons why they've come in through the endorsement process and they recognize the need for to deal with the conservation and natural resource, they're dealing with development through infill redevelopment, and by taking a look at by designating the different cores and nodes in the regional center to be able to do more compact development, as well as at the same time they're developing their non-cluster development ordinance so that they'll be able to protect and develop to balance the two, their free county parks and municipal parks. And you can see here where they're dealing with areas that have both been preserved and or they're going to be identifying areas within the Kettle Creek watershed, Crystal Lake Preserve, and adjacent to the Medicon River as parcels to preserve also. To promote economic growth, through the Smart Growth Plan, they're, as I said before, about the centers, cores, and nodes. That's where growth will be encouraged. There are 3 industrial parks that are over 2,200 acres. There are 2,500 local retail and professional businesses, and over 60,000 commuters to Lakewood each day. Where it's a town of 92,000 people. There are people from outside also commuting because of all the businesses in Lakewood coming into Lakewood. So to protect the environment and clean up pollution, there, as I said on the state plan map proposal, you can see how they've taken over 2,900 acres and are now environmentally sensitive, where previously they were either fringe or PA2. Provide adequate public facility services at a reasonable cost for schools, parks, and parking downtown. That's one of the things that they're trying to address through their through a TID as development is occurring. That they're encouraging or creating they're appointed a special master who are taking a look at their housing plans. And at the same time, they have created housing. I got an example in 2013 where 63 affordable housing units were part of what had been approved in 2013. To preserve and enhance areas, cultural and historic, there are over 20 properties listed on the New Jersey National Register of Historic Places. The Smart Growth Plan speaks to strengthening the community, promotes sustainable development, preserves open space, promotes environmental protection, the non-contiguous cluster ordinance development that I mentioned. I know the identifying publicly owned properties to preserve, as I mentioned, within the Keller Creek Metacom tributary area. To ensure integrated planning and implementation statewide. The municipality works with Ocean County on infrastructure, sewer, and transportation issues, as well as with other entities like different utilities within the area. They're working with NJTPA and the DOT and the neighboring communities on a Route 9 study, and they'll be coordinating with Lakewood Township and UA in New Jersey American Water to develop a 10-year plan to ensure an adequate water supply for the continuing population growth, to ensure that that there's adequate firm capacity for the existing and future development growth. And since the PIC, or even before the PIC, we have received public comments. We received over 30 letters and emails. Most were in support. A few were negative. Many of the negative, of the few that received the negative were concerned about Lakewood's growth, which Lakewood is concerned about Lakewood's growth, and it's one of the reasons why they come to us to help deal with it through the plan endorsement process by designating designating the regional center into different cores and nodes, so that will encourage population to grow there and preserve where preservation will occur. Recommendation, as you saw in the recommendation report that you received, that as a smart growth plan is using state development and redevelopment planning as a guide, that their planning vision is consistent with the state plan, and the recommendation is to provide them with conditional plan endorsement before updating the state plan map. They'll do the following. They'll be updating their zoning ordinance, they'll be updating the protection ordinances, and identifying parcels within Keller Creek, etc., and coordinating with the Lakewood MUA to develop the 10-year plan to ensure adequate water supply. Question?
Before we go to questions and comments from the commission, one of Barry's last slides reminded me that I was remiss in advising the commission. This issue was fully reviewed by the Plan Implementation Committee and recommended unanimously for endorsement at the full commission. So that was about a week or so ago. Again, before we go to questions and comments from the commission, I know we have some representatives of the Lakewood governing body and the planners stand slightly, so if you'd like an opportunity to say a couple words.
They're forcing me to come up.
Well, since it's you, Stan, you know the drill.
I guess I'd be able to.
Give us your name for the record, please.
Yeah, Stan Slanetta, PM Associates, and we're the township planning consultant for the township. I want to thank Eric. We'll just have to push this right along. Lights up right too. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Robert. I wanted to thank Barry for his presentation. I thought it was very, very comprehensive. As a planner, this is the third time around that I've been involved with the plan endorsement process, and I think this is probably was the most challenging and at the same time the most rewarding of the three. So I think you've heard, as you heard from Barry, the township's perspective here is that they want to grow correctly. They're facing significant challenges with growth, as you saw with regards to the population projections. And I think that, from my perspective, that's probably the most critical issue facing the township, specifically with regards to what I guess the right word would be logarithmic growth. And we saw that scale. And even if the growth of those growth projections are not achieved from the standpoint of taking a look at what the actual population growth may be over the course of the next 3 decades. At the same time, we want to be conservative in terms of our approach within Lakewood Township to ensure that we have adequate housing, that we have adequate public facilities, and that in turn, we also conversely are preserving the important natural resources within the township. And I think the efforts by the township, specifically with regards to the non-contiguous clustering ordinance, the preservation strategies and approaches, creates that correct balance within the township. So I think from a planning perspective, the township is doing the right thing. And I, as a professional, working with the township, going through the whole process, going through the visioning process that the community went through over the course of the last decade or so. We understood the diversity of the population, the needs of the population for housing, for public services, for open space and recreation. Essentially, the citizens of Lakewood Township want to have that smart growth, that balance of growth with preservation to make a community for themselves, just like any community in the state of New Jersey. And I think the opportunity through the plan endorsement process for the township to receive plan endorsement, to continue to implement those policies through a pretty comprehensive planning and implementation agreement, I think is going to be not a challenge, but essentially the success story of Lakewood Township in terms of the implementation of the planning policies and approaches. I know that we've, over the course of the last 5 years or so, working with the Department of Environmental Protection in particular, and through the establishment of a framework which, for preservation, which includes the non-contiguous clustering ordinances that are proposed as part of Lakewood Township's overall comprehensive plan. And I should point out that with regards to Lakewood Township, this will be the largest community that is going to be implementing a non-contiguous clustering ordinance as part of their comprehensive plan. I think this will be a model, and I think it will be something that other communities within the state and across the country can take a look at and say, this is an effective public-private partnership for the preservation of open space and natural resources within a community. And I think that is probably going to be the biggest testament to the importance of the plan endorsement that the State Planning Commission would be granting as part of this process. And then finally, I think it's important to understand that from the township's perspective, the growth challenges it's facing has to be put in the context of the need for providing adequate housing. I think the one aspect of the population projections that I think that are important to understand is when you take a look at some of the housing production numbers over the course of the last decade or so, there is a significant and a major gap between the housing production and what the population projections are. And it's really critically important, not only for Lakewood Township, but for other communities within the region to have a smart growth plan implemented within Lakewood, to take the burden, take the growth pressures, the regional growth pressures off the surrounding area and place growth and put growth and development in a very, very sustainable development pattern where the shopping, the services, the transportation, that the community has been implementing and planning over the course of the last decade or so is actually located. And as Barry had mentioned, the community has adopted a transportation improvement district ordinance for 2 critical areas of the township, where the Cross Street core is to be located and where the Oak Street core is to be located, so that there is a funding source for transportation infrastructure within the township. So again, it's a comprehensive plan. It's a balanced plan. It's a plan that provides for preservation, but also provides for growth in a very, very sustainable and smart growth pattern. So having said that, and I'm really just giving you my planner's perspective, you'll hear from the township shortly in terms of their perspective from their own community's goals and perspective. I think I would urge the State Planning Commission to adopt this conditional plan endorsement approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. So, please, sir.
Good morning, thank you. Good morning, members of the commission and professionals. My name is Mayor Wilkinson. I'm a township committeeman in Lakewood and have been working on behalf of the township committee with our professionals and the state's professionals to see this process through since starting in 2005. I want to thank you for having us here today, and I really want to echo what Barry said and what Stan said. We have a lot of growth going on in Lakewood, and we very much want to manage it correctly. We have a lot of growth pressures, and by having this plan conditionally passed today, you will be reinvigorating us to move ahead with our master plan this year. We have a plan implementation agreement that allows for, I believe it's 18 months to 2 years to get a lot of these items done. And this will be an engine that will drive us to do it. In my discussions, and I've said to some of you before, we have a lot of pressures for people who are trying to purchase or get the town to allow development in some of those areas that you have seen highlighted for protection, environmental protection, and open space. Having this plan and giving us the opportunity to do something like the non-contiguous clustering, and giving us the opportunity to tell people, look, the state is working with us so that we can have the proper infrastructure. It gives us more of a backbone, I'll say, or it gives us more of a strength to protect those areas that we're looking to have protected. So it gives us an opportunity to continue to develop our industrial and commercial projects, a lot of businesses starting in Lakewood, and gives us an opportunity to work on our transportation system. So I thank you for having us here today, and I hope that you find this plan to be appropriate and good for Lakewood so that we could continue to do the right thing by ourselves, by the surrounding communities, and give us your vote of confidence when you vote on this today. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you certainly for your persistence over more than a decade in the process of planning your community. We really appreciate that. So with that, questions and comments from the commission. Any questions or comments regarding the Lakewood petition? Going once, going twice? No comments. With that, we'll open to the public on this matter only. Any members of the public wish to be heard on the Lakewood petition? Now's your opportunity. Would you like to come to the mic? Yes, sir. We would just ask you, please state your name for the record, and please, anyone commenting, please keep your comments no more than 5 minutes. We appreciate that.
Yes. David Crankell, and I'm an attorney. I represent Ms. Lori Leeds. She owns about 30 properties in Lakewood. And first, I'd like to thank Mr. Abelman, because when Ms. Leeds came to see me on short notice, Mr. Abelman provided me all the documents. Thank you very much. In going through the plan, Ms. Leeds owns a piece of property, and it is in the Cedar Bridge development. Which would be the Cedar Bridge Town Center, and she owns 931-1, Lot 931, Lot 1. When Ms. Leeds looked at the map, if you look at the 2013 Smart Growth map, you'll see that her property over here is actually outside of the park, where it's designated as a park. That's the 2013 map. However, the problem is that when we pulled up the map, I have it over here, and we can cut there as well, but 931-1 is, by looking at the lines, looks like it's included in the park. And our concern is, obviously, she does not want this property in the park. She would like that property be outside the park. She was told that it would be outside the park. But from looking at this, we cannot get clarification. On her own, she has made several phone calls, and I know the township planner is here as well, so he may be able to shed some light on it. But certainly our concern is that that property not be in the park. And that if there's going to be, if they're going to pass the resolution that neither
The park, are we talking about a PA5 designation or actually park designation? PA5, environmental sensitive. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, inside baseball,
Okay.
park versus PA5 is a map.
Okay, yeah, and I believe this is the spot where the Blue Claws are, their field is in that area somewhere. So that is really the critical concern, is that 931-1 not be in that park, or designated as a park. The other concern, and also Ms. Leeds would like to be heard as well, but I'm just addressing two topics first. What's that?
Give them what they're putting in the park, that they made a new.
Well, let's have one comment at a
Let's just
time.
speak.
And, you know, I do want to keep these to about 5 minutes, and we're close on pushing that out.
Okay, the next concern we have, and again, the planner may be able to shed some light on it, but we tried to go through all the properties that she owns. She owns about 30 properties in Lakewood. And when we went through the map and we blew it up, and I don't understand why, and again, it's a short notice for her coming to my office, but it does raise some concern. Numerous numbers of her lots are not showing up in that map when we blow it up. We can't find them, so we don't know what was considered in the process that preceded this. And just, you know, for example, like block 191, just for the record, lots 10, 12, 13, 2, 8, 9. All those lots are missing from the map. Same thing for block 10, 42, lots 6 and 9. And there's more. So we don't understand why those lots are missing from the map during on the process that preceded us. It obviously raises some concern. We would like that matter be addressed before the resolution is passed, so that we can know, of course, the final impact on all of Ms. Leeds' properties. So those are the two major concerns that I'm bringing here. Ms. Leeds also would like to be heard, and then I'd like to be heard just briefly after Ms. Leeds.
Attitude on that, but we do wait. I think we're going to go over the 5 minutes, so Ms. Leeds, would you like to come up? Or come on up. Just give us your name for the record, please.
My name is Laurie Leeds, and that property 931 that he says is not going to be in the park, that makes it worthless. Now, after they took it out, they have now made a plan amendment on the Cedar Bridge Development Plan by Mr. Schwatka from T&M Engineering to put my lot, it's a whole block, it's worth $14 million, back in a park, the Cedar Bridge Park, which makes my block of land worthless. And I would hope that if you approve this, you could look into this, that they don't do that. Very aggravating.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody understands, we're not dealing with the zoning map here, we are dealing with a map at 50,000 feet. The PA5 doesn't preclude development. It certainly limits densities and limits infrastructures, but it does not preclude development. And we'll drill a little further into that if we can, if we have any information on that. We'll get to that momentarily. But I just want to draw the distinction between what we're doing here and a classic municipal zoning map that sets the uses, sets the densities, and that type of thing. It's not what we're doing here. And I understand there are implications and consequences of certain map designations, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Well, they said that as soon as this is approved, they're going to pass it at the committee meeting, and that I would not have a chance to do anything about it. So that's very detrimental to me. Then you have a new Highway 9, Route 9 highway core that was put in on this new map. And I was never noted about that. This was not in the original Smart Growth Plan. I have 13 properties in that area that I was selling, and you could build duplexes on. This Highway 9 core encompasses all those other properties. They put them in there, and duplexes are not in that. So you have, by forming this core and putting those properties in it, you have made my properties worthless, and that's $20 million. I don't want to have to go to any kind of litigation. I mean, it's not fair to pass something that could be very detrimental to somebody. I want to put back so I can put duplexes in that area. I have a buyer for it.
Okay, we really don't get involved with the specific uses going on specific problems. That is a matter solely for municipal zoning and planning. Obviously, again, there are implications and consequences to state planning map designations, but the issue of duplexes versus something else really is a municipal zoning and planning issue. So
but you're passing this plan, and you have put this in here, and that has done something to my property.
Understood.
So it's not right. I mean, if you pass the plan, you should address what they're doing with my properties.
Okay, thank you.
I would appreciate that very much.
Thank you for your comments. With respect to the larger property, just as the map was being held up, it appeared to have a stream running through it. I don't know if I was seeing that correctly. It appears to be some environmental constraints. Is there anyone have, Rick, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're the guy. The PA5 designation on that large lot.
The area in vicinity of the Cedar Bridge development is subject to several different CAFR permits over the years. There was the Blue Claw Stadium, and as a result of the Blue Claw Stadium, there's an area adjacent to that that's required to be deed restricted. Also, when they built, they got approval for a Cedar Bridge office park, I believe, where the roadways were put in, the stormwater basins were put in, and it just really never took off. But that also required an additional area to be deed restricted, which happens to be the entire area that is shown as being proposed for PA5 in that area, adjacent to Ms. Lee's property. And Ms. Lee's property itself is in the adopted sewer service area. So when I look at the map, it looks like the one property she's concerned about is not within the proposed planning area 5. It would be within the proposed, it would be in the suburban planning area.
Okay, so the lot is in the planned sewer service area?
Yes, it is.
Honestly, that should kick it. But the EP's already approved that plan?
Yes, definitely.
I think we do need to take a look at our map, and if in fact that is in PA5 and it's in the sewer service area, we have to amend that. I'm not sure, I do not have the map in front of me, but it sounds like it should be in the suburban.
John, I believe the area is within a suburban planning area, that it is not within a planning area 5.
Okay, so on this matter, with Rick on behalf of DEP confirming that the area is in a approved sewer service area, I would suggest any approval we consider the condition that if in fact that is designated as PA5, we modify that back to a PA2, right? Which would be consistent with the sewer service area designation.
John, what I would offer is perhaps the commission could consider that in condition of approving the map, that there be some provision for minor adjustments where new facts demonstrate that there's a need for a correction.
Well said, sir. Okay, on the other map issues that were raised, the core, does the core highway preclude residential development?
Not from our perspective. The reason why they were made cores were that they weren't taking mixed-use cores. If there was any mixed use, we would have made it private. Our designation is not precluding.
Okay, so that's a municipal zone.
Right.
Our designation does not preclude that
Right.
development from occurring. Okay. So anyone else from the public wishing to be heard on this matter only? Going once, going twice. Sorry, if you do want 2 more minutes, be glad to
Yeah,
provide you with those.
I was just a little confused. What are we doing with that property? We're leaving it open, or?
No, we're confirming that, go ahead, Rick.
Perhaps some explanation of the conditional nature of the approvals needed, about what the timing of the map changes are, and the significance of the needed.
That's for various stuff on that.
So the, as far as the map changes, they're not, they're endorsing the plan today. If they endorse the plan today, the map changes won't be in effect today. And what the proposal that I was just hearing was that if there were any errors in our understanding of where the PA2, the suburban planning area is drawn, that correction could or would be made.
Yeah, and maybe to provide you some concern here. I've worked with my good friend Rick from DEP on sewer service area issues for a lot of decades, and people before him. If DEP has determined that area is an approved sewer service area, they've already made a determination it's not environmentally constrained. PA5 designates environmental constraints present, serious environmental constraints. I think this issue pretty much is resolved with that confirmation that it is the sewer service area, and so that any eventual map modification will reflect that change or retention of PA2, whatever the case may be.
That it is in PA2.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in PA2.
You have a sewer service designation, and in a lot of areas of the state, that is a golden ticket. So, yeah, it's a sewer service. That doesn't mean necessarily sewers are present, but it means that they can be. If sewers need to be extended, or if there's plant capacity, that it can happen, not that it's precluded. So,
Right. John, if I may, I want just the commissioners to know that the department worked very hard to ensure that the proposed and adopted sewer service area map actually is completely identical to the proposed demonstrated growth areas, in that the areas that the department felt were environmentally sensitive were left out of sewer service areas, and that meant that they were also not included in one of the designated growth areas. To the extent possible, we tried to mirror the work that was done previously by the State Planning Commission and the Township and Ocean County, but that's not to say that it's perfect, and so that's why I would suggest that we have some provision for minor adjustments if needed.
that's great. Thanks, Rick. So I would suggest the issue is largely resolved. By all means, we monitor our progress and work on the map, and if you see something go astray in the line, you should come on back.
Yeah, I think if you have the ability to have the minor adjustments, then we can monitor that, and I can be in touch.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're going to close public comment then, and so what's your pleasure? If there are no other questions or comments from the commission, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2016-01, approving the petition for planning direction submitted by Lakewood Township, Ocean County designating centers with the conditions noted by Mr. Brown earlier in this proceeding. Do I have a motion to that effect? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, Wendy, could we call the roll, please?
John Estenson?
Yes.
Roberta Lang?
Yes.
David Talley?
Yes.
Andy Swords?
Yes.
Jim Boucher?
Yes.
Rick Brown?
Yes.
Ray Martinez?
Yes.
Charles McKenna?
Yes.
Tom Mankiewicz? Oh, sorry, recused. Don Colombi?
Yes.
Terrific. Good luck.
Thank you.
And with your planning effort, and if you have to come back and see us too soon again, but you're always welcome. So with that, are there any members of the public wishing to be heard on any matter whatsoever? Now is your chance. My chatter appears not, we'll close to the public. Any reports from commissioners? Going once, going twice, no takers. I will motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor? Out. Thank you all for coming. That's a lot of driving for a 6